SLT Mobitel Fiber, the fiber of the nation. SLT Mobitel Fiber, the fiber of the nation.
Comfort Moodian භාගයයි කලක් පවතින අලුත් පෙනුමයි.
Tonight, building on gains. The Hambantota port kicks off a logistics service centre project on the heels of major cargo volume spike.
Because one thing that we are concerned with as we develop the country, GDP per capita incomes must go up, not only in Colombo, but also in distant parts of the country.
Unacceptable. Authorities mull rejection of latest LP gas shipment as minister promises zero tolerance on substandard goods despite shortage risk. Damning claims. Easter attack court case reveals state intel chief's admission of failure to inform ministerial higher-ups. Paying the price. Sri Lanka agrees to $6 million Chinese fertilizer company payout with a catch. All that and much more coming up on First at 9. This Tuesday, the 14th of December, 2021.
Introducing New Hellmann's, the world's #1 mayonnaise brand, now in Sri Lanka.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammakekanai. Now then, after reportedly failing tests for sufficient levels of ethyl mercaptan, the shipment of LP gas that docked in the country last Friday is now in danger of being rejected by the country's authorities. However, a final call is set to be made by a special technical committee currently studying the test report submitted by the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and international testing entity Intertek shortly. Meanwhile, despite the loss of the shipment likely to bring rise to a gas shortage in the country, State Minister for Consumer Protection insists that the government is not prepared to accept substandard gas if labelled so by the technical committee.
With gas-related incidents continuing in households across the country, the focus on the quality of LP gas shipments entering the country is currently at an all-time high. As of now, the Consumer Affairs Authority has warned that permission will not be granted to unload any LPG consignments if any change in the propane-butane composition is found. With that, the most recent shipment of LP gas that arrived in the country has been subjected to stringent testing processes. Subsequently, although no issues have been found in the gas composition of this shipment, sources say that there is another issue that may prevent it from being accepted. Ethyl mercaptan, a key component added to LP gas to give it its distinctive odour, has been found to be at unacceptable levels in this specific shipment. This means that given the Consumer Affairs Authority's latest statement in this regard, it seems that the shipment may be rejected. However, a final decision is set to be taken by a technical committee on the matter, which will have to take into consideration two very important factors. One is the safety issue, namely the inability of consumers to detect any gas leaks due to the lack of an odour. The second is the fact that Sri Lanka may be staring down the barrel of a nationwide gas shortage if the shipment is rejected. However, State Minister of Consumer Protection Lasantha Alagivanna says that shortages will not stop the government from rejecting substandard LP gas shipments.
කණජ දිනීතික සංස්ථාව පරීක්ෂණ වාර්තාව ලබා දීලා තිබෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඉන්ටර්ටෙක් ආයතනයේ පරීක්ෂණ වාර්තාව ලබා දීලා තිබෙනවා. ඉතින් පරීක්ෂණ වාර්තා පිළිබඳව අධ්‍යයනය කරමින් පවතින්නේ. ඉතින් ඒ අනුව අවසාන තීරණයක් ඒ තාක්ෂණික කමිටුව විසින් ලබා ගනී. තාක්ෂණික කමිටුව කිව්වොත් ප්‍රමිතියට අනුව තිබෙනවා කියලා ගන්න පුළුවන්. තාක්ෂණ කමිටුව කිව්වොත් ප්‍රමිතියට අනුව නැහැ කියලා අනිවාර්යෙන්ම ඒ නැව ආපසු ඒ ආනයනය කරන රටට යෑමට සිද්ධ වෙයි. අපිට නරක ගෑස් ගන්න මොනම ආකාරයකට අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නැහැ. ඒ මොන හිගේ ඇති වුණත් ප්‍රමිතියට අනුව නැත්තම් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ගන්න නැහැ. ඒ හිගේ පිළිබඳව වෙනම ප්‍රශ්නයක්. දැනට වෙළඳපොළ නිකුත් කිරීම ප්‍රමිතියට අනුව තියෙනවා නම් විතරයි නිකුත් කරන්න.
Meanwhile, a writ application filed in the appeals court by public interest litigation activist Nagananda Korithuwakku was taken up today. In his petition, Korithuwakku seeks a court order to direct the country's two gas suppliers, Litro Gas Lanka and Laughs Gas plc, to recall all domestic gas cylinders released to the market. During proceedings, appeals court judges Ruwan Fernando and Sampath Vijayaratna questioned the respondents on whether the gas composition can be displayed on gas cylinders and the possibility of a recall of gas cylinders currently in the market. To this, President's Counsel Harsha Amarasuriya, appearing for Electrogas Lanka, asked for time until tomorrow to brief the court after discussing the matter with his client. Accordingly, the writ petition was scheduled to be taken up once again tomorrow.
Minister of Agriculture Mahinda Alutgamage announced today that the government has agreed to pay $6.7 million to Chinese organic fertilizer company Qingdao Sewin Biotech. However, $5 million of this sum, which consists of a cash deposit, will only be paid after receipt of a new shipment of fertilizer that complies with Sri Lankan standards. In the month of October, the Ministry of Agriculture rejected a consignment of organic fertilizer from Chinese company Qingdao Sewin Biotech after tests showed the presence of harmful bacteria in 2 of its samples. Both those samples were tested by the National Plant Quarantine Service in Sri Lanka. As a result, the vessel carrying 20,000 metric tons of organic fertilizer from China was also banned from entering the Colombo port. Further steps were also taken by the Ceylon Fertilizer Company Limited to obtain an order from the Commercial High Court in Colombo to suspend the letter of credit as well as preventing payments being made to Qingdao Sewin Biotech. What's more, the Minister of Agriculture even refused third-party test reports obtained by the relevant Chinese company on their fertilizer by sticking to the reports provided by the National Plant Quarantine Service. In this backdrop, the vessel MV Hippo Spirit that transported 20,000 metric tons of organic fertilizer floated for weeks off the coast of Beruela. However, last week, the ship left the Sri Lankan waters and set off for Singapore. The disagreement between the two factions went back and forth, and the Chinese embassy also got involved. It even blacklisted the People's Bank, which issued the relevant letter of credit, for not honouring it, though it was a court order that prevented the bank from making the payment. It had all the hallmarks of becoming a diplomatic spat, but the Chinese ambassador gave clarity to the matter, saying that it is a commercial issue between the two companies concerned and not a political one. In any case, it came to light today that the Attorney General's Department had advised that both parties arrive at a consensus on agreeable commercial conditions for the matter to be resolved. Accordingly, the government has decided to pay $6.7 million to Qingdao Sewin Biotech as per the letter of credit. However, the sum, which also includes a cash deposit of $5 million, will be paid to the company only after the island receives a new shipment of organic fertilizer, which is in compliance with Sri Lanka's standards. A 1-hectare logistics service centre is to be constructed at the Hambantota port facility that will look to add value and capacity to the country's southernmost ports operations. A groundbreaking ceremony was held today to kick off the construction work, presided over by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and Chinese Ambassador Chi Zeng-hong. The Hambantota Port Group also celebrated a milestone today, that is of having handled 500,000 roll-on roll-off vehicle units in 2021 so far, which is a 151% annual growth.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa participated in the groundbreaking ceremony of the International Logistics Services Centre at the Hambantota International Port today, which is to be set up on a 1-hectare plot of land. The Premier was accompanied by China's Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Chi Zeng-hong, along with Ministers G.L. Piris, Chamal Rajapaksa and Namal Rajapaksa. The PM's visit also comes at a time when the Hambantota port has achieved a significant milestone of 500,000 roll-on roll-off vehicle units handled in 2021. Speaking at the ceremony, Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Piris paid tribute to the development brought upon the Hambantota area by the port project.
Sri Lanka is now achieving its potential as a transshipment hub, bringing these vehicles in, and they are destined for re-export to other countries. So there is a very timely contribution to Sri Lanka's economy. Now we understand that the investment here in the seaport is even more than the investment in Makkala airport. So what you have basically done is to transform the economy of the southern part of Sri Lanka, Hambantota, Runa. You have made it a vibrant part of Sri Lanka. Because one thing that we are concerned with as we develop the country, GDP per capita incomes must go up, not only in Colombo, but also in distant parts of the country. The land values in Hambantota, they have increased about tenfold. And there is prosperity in this part of the country. So it is a part and parcel of the government's plans for economic development. I would like to pay tribute to the friendship and the goodwill of China. China has always been a friend of ours, in bad times, in good times, in power, out of power.
Also addressing the event, HIPG CEO Johnson Liu outlined the company's significant growth figures to date and called the port a symbol of the strong bond of friendship between Sri Lanka and China.
Today, we are honored to celebrate our new milestone in achieving 500,000 units of loaded cargo. When we look back at 2017, the port's total throughput was less than 200,000 tons. Through the ongoing pandemic case at that time, we managed to achieve an average annual growth rate of 151% with a new structure and alliance. We are seeing the port growth and strength its maritime position as a fully effective multi-purpose port today. Undoubtedly, coming to the port will be a symbol of long-term friendship between Sri Lanka and China. China Merchants Group will also continue to contribute to the economic development of the Hambantota region.
The court heard today that former Director of the State Intelligence Service Nilantha Jayawardena apologised to former State Minister of Defence Ruwan Wijewardene in the immediate aftermath of the Easter Sunday terror attacks for not making him aware of information pertaining to the attack in advance. It also heard that when the country's top security brass were informed that the former Prime Minister called a Security Council meeting at the Temple Trees after the Easter attack, none of them moved a muscle. The case against former Defence Secretary Hemasiri Fernando, filed over the failure to prevent the Easter Sunday terror attacks despite there being intelligence of a pending attack, was taken up again today before the Colombo Permanent High Court trial at bar. It was taken up before a bench comprising of judges Namal Balalle, Aditya Patavendige and Mohammad Irshadin for the 8th day, with the defendant being accused of criminal dereliction of duty. Giving evidence today was former State Minister of Defence Ruwan Wijewardene, who told the court that he held the portfolio from 2015 to 2019. Speaking on the manner in which the Security Council meetings were held under the previous government, Wijewardene said that the President chaired Security Council meetings and the Prime Minister, commanders of the Tri-Forces, the IGP and intelligence units attended them. He noted that it was the Defence Secretary who gave notice about the Security Council meetings, and earlier on, the Security Council met once a week. Later, he said the frequency became once a month, and towards the end, the Security Council only met when the President convened it. While noting that prior to the October political impasse of 2018, he even chaired intelligence review meetings on occasion, Wijewardene stressed that after the said political impasse, both he and the Prime Minister were not called for Security Council meetings. The witness said that he queried about that from the then Defence Secretary Hemasiri Fernando, who replied that an invitation cannot be made sans notification from the President. On the events that unfolded immediately after the attack on the 21st of April, the then State Minister of Defence Ruwan Wijewardene said, quote, "At around 9:30 a.m. after the Easter Sunday attack had taken place, PM Ranil Wickremesinghe telephoned me and asked me to convene a meeting of the Security Council at the Temple Trees. At the time, I was at the Ministry of Defence and commanders of the Tri-Forces and other security authorities were there at the Ministry. I informed them that the PM called everyone to the Temple Trees for a Security Council meeting, but no one got up. Later, I queried about this from the Defence Secretary, and he told me that the President had instructed not to attend any meeting convened by the Prime Minister. Even Director of the State Intelligence Service, Nilantha Jayawardena, was there. I asked him as to why I was not informed of information about the attack in advance. Then, Nilantha Jayawardena apologised for not providing the information." Unquote. The Deputy Solicitor General asked the witness whether Zahran Hashim was discussed at Security Council meetings. The witness replied that Zahran was discussed a couple of times at the Security Council. However, Zahran's arrest was not discussed at any of the Security Council meetings he had attended. Meanwhile, in response to a question posed by the Deputy Solicitor General, Wijewardene noted that in the event of the President being abroad without appointing an acting Minister of Defence, the responsibility of the Ministry's operations lie with the Defence Secretary. He went on to say that only the President has the power to convene a meeting of the Security Council, and the Defence Secretary does not have such power. Former State Minister of Defence Ruwan Wijewardene also said that he has never spoken to former President Maithripala Sirisena over the phone, and that it was extremely difficult to connect with him over the phone. We will see you shortly. Bear with us.
Big 3.
Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, the Ministry of Health calls on the people to do their bit to prevent the spread of COVID-19 by adhering to health guidelines and opting to vaccinate themselves, which ultimately helps in stopping the spread of any COVID variant, including Omicron. According to the World Health Organization, Omicron is now found in at least 63 countries. It was first detected in South Africa. The first known sample of Omicron dates back to the 9th of November. But it was reported to the World Health Organization on the 24th of last month. In the 3 weeks that followed, Omicron is now found in over 63 countries, and it is not expected to end there. China is one of the latest countries to detect the variant, with a foreign traveller testing positive with Omicron. Pakistan too confirmed its first Omicron infection yesterday. Here in Sri Lanka, so far, the number of official Omicron cases found in the island remains at 1. According to government health experts, stringent surveillance is being conducted to detect whether Omicron cases exist in the country.
According to the available information, it is said to be spreading faster than the Delta and other previous variants. As a result, if it comes into Sri Lanka and if it gets established in Sri Lanka, we might get larger or higher number of cases reported, and probably the burden on the health services also can increase. So therefore, Health Ministry is prepared to respond to that kind of increased number. However, most important aspect is to make sure that we are not going to spread the disease. It is not aiming directly to the Omicron variant, but it should be aimed at stopping the spread of the COVID-19 infection, for which adherence to the health guidelines is the most important, and getting yourself immunized appropriately is the other important aspect.
In the recent past, studies involving people who have received vaccine brands such as Pfizer revealed that the two-dose immunity induces lower level of neutralizing antibodies against the Omicron variant. With that being the case, a group of researchers from the University of Oxford published results from a study that they have conducted using blood samples of who have received both doses of Pfizer and AstraZeneca vaccines. This study, which is yet to be peer-reviewed, also gave similar findings.
There is quite a drop-off in the neutralizing antibody activity against the Omicron compared to Delta. After 2 doses of Pfizer, then there's around a 30-fold drop-off in the neutralizing antibody levels compared to against Delta. And similarly, after 2 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine, a significant drop-off, such that actually the neutralizing antibodies were below the normal level of detection for the majority of the AstraZeneca participants. It's going to lead to more infections. I think that's clear. It's because of breaking through immunity, whether due to vaccines or previous infection. It's breaking through that more easily and causing more infections. Even if overall those infections are milder, at a population level there is still, if there are more infections, then there will be still more people with severe disease and needing hospitalization. So although overall it is likely to be somewhat milder, on an individual basis, on an individual person, their risk of severe disease might be lower. If there are many more people getting infected, then overall it is more likely that there'll be some more severe disease as a result. So no, I don't think we could look on this in any way as a blessing.
Even before the results of these studies emerged, the Sri Lankan government made the countrywide booster dose rollout a priority. And so far, 1,440,705 persons have obtained it. Any person above the age of 20 is eligible for the booster, and they can obtain the jab from any vaccination centre by producing the vaccination card. Further, it is also recommended that 1 dose of Pfizer be given to the 12 to 15 age group, while a second dose be given to the 16 to 19 age group. Moving on with other local stories, Raja Idirisuri has been appointed as the new chairman of the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka. The appointment comes 2 weeks after the BOI chairman and several top officials, including the board of directors and the director general, tendered their resignations. The president's media division, however, later said that the head of state refused to accept the letters of resignation and gave them a vote of confidence instead. However, it is reported that last Friday, BOI chairman Sanjay Mohottala called on the president and reiterated that he would be stepping down from his position. President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, President's Counsel Salia Piris and Deputy President Anura B. Maddegoda have filed a writ petition before the Supreme Court with regards to the conversion of foreign currency earnings of BASL members by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. The petition has named Finance Minister Basil Rajpaksha, Central Bank Governor Ajit Nimad Cabral and all members of the Monetary Board as respondents. The application explains that BASL members receive payment for services provided within and outside of Sri Lanka in both foreign currency and Sri Lankan rupees. It also states that in the instance of foreign currency payments, they are remitted to and deposited in personal resident foreign currency accounts, special deposit accounts or other permitted accounts in licensed commercial banks. The petition points out that under such circumstances, such professional fees cannot be considered repatriation of export proceeds into Sri Lanka. On this basis, the petition calls on the Supreme Court to quash Gazette Extraordinary 2251/42 of 28 October 2021 as being ultra vires, the powers of the first respondent, and as being unlawful, irrational, unjustifiable, arbitrary, capricious, in breach of all principles of justice and due process. The petitioners state that such draconian measures of forcefully converting foreign currency of BASL members amount to expropriation of private property, which is both unconstitutional and wholly illegal. Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, the shares of Sarvodaya Development Finance Limited started trading on the Colombo Stock Exchange today. The shares have been listed on the main board of the CSE under the consumer finance sector. The listing follows a successful initial public offering by the company, through which it raised approximately 1 billion rupees through a share issue of 45.45 million at an issue price of 22 rupees each. The issue was an oversubscription on the first day of its offer. Meanwhile, Sri Lankan shares closed at a record high for a second straight session today, boosted by gains in industrial stocks. The CSE All-Share Price Index closed 1.15% higher at 11,796.88 after hitting an all-time high of 11,847.78 earlier in the day. Meanwhile, the S&P SL20 index also recorded major gains of 1.16% to close at 4,241.89. With that, here's Dimantha Matthew with today's stock market report.
Today also we saw a major spike in the market, 134-point gain in the all-share price index, and the S&P SL20 also is gaining by 49 points, illustrating that the large market cap counters are continuously moving the market. So today also we are seeing the transportation sector counters move in the market. Some of those are the retail favorite counters as well. So we can see the transportation sector move in the market. Today also is up by around 7%, which is a solid upward movement that we are seeing on a continuous pace with the rise in air freight prices on a global scale. In addition to that, a strong retail activity was present today as well. Turnover levels were as high as 8.5 billion rupees and the number of transactions were around the 58,000 mark.
In the currency market, the Sri Lankan rupee continues to be at 202.99 cents against the US dollar. Now let's take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee fared against other major currencies during the day. Now then, 2 crew members on a British cargo vessel were found to be over the legal limit for alcohol after a collision with a Danish barge in the Baltic Sea that killed at least 1 person. This was revealed by a Swedish prosecutor and the owner of the British ship today. A 55-metre Danish registered vessel capsized when it crashed with the 90-metre British carrier off the island of Bornholm in fog and darkness early yesterday. One of the 2 Danish crew members from the capsized barge was found dead in the hull, while the other crew member was still missing. Rescue efforts were abandoned after ships and helicopters scoured the waters to no avail. The Swedish prosecution authority is investigating several suspected crimes, including negligence in maritime traffic, causing death through negligence, and marine intoxication. 2 of the Scott carrier's crew, a Briton and a Croatian, remained in custody as of today as part of the preliminary investigation. The prosecutor has until Thursday to decide whether to hold the suspects longer. A powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck eastern Indonesia today, prompting the local meteorological agency to issue a tsunami warning. After around 2 hours, however, the tsunami warning was lifted. The quake, which struck at 8:50 a.m. Sri Lankan time, sent residents fleeing from their homes but caused only minor damage and injured 1 person. Indonesia's meteorological agency said that at least 15 aftershocks followed, with the biggest registering a magnitude of 5.6. But the quake did not increase the sea levels significantly. And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.